So, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Here you can see our screen, and today it's lecture 9, unit 3. We have started unit 3 last session, lecture 8, and today we continue with unit 3, and most probably soon we'll start with unit 4. So we already know what is this conflict of interest, but conflict of interest would be with your supervisor, maybe with your institution, maybe sometime you collect data, you may have some conflict with them, right? So we'll see what kind of conflict may arise and what kind of solution we have. And in last session, lecture 8, we already have discussed if you see any kind of conflict, any complaint, then you can appeal and COPE, Committee of Publication Ethics. They have guidelines. You can read those guidelines, and all these guidelines are applicable in the whole world. So, as far as conflict of interest is concerned, that also has been mentioned in a COPE website. Therein, the information is also given. So we'll talk about little bit conflict of interest today, that how conflict of interest may arise when you supposed to work as a research scholar, or when you are supposed to write paper and sending it for publication, right? So then we'll discuss about little bit again a publication misconduct. Then very important thing, predatory or duplicate publisher journals. So good afternoon, and once again I welcome you all on this special session on research and publication ethics. And here we have unit 3, lecture 9. We're talking about conflict of interest, publication misconduct, and predatory publisher journals. Here we start with because we have to finish this course as soon as possible. So I would be a bit in hurry, but don't worry. I would like to explain each and every point to all of you. Here you can see conflict of interest. So very important thing, generally, when, because we all are human being, and we all are, in marketing term we call that Indians are price sensitive. Right. So here you see the financial, concept, or the finance play a very important role, because when you want to read some paper, you need to subscribe that paper. You need to pay money. Okay. So finance play a very important role, because second point here you can see academic. Academic means you have your own opinion, you have your own perception. That opinion, attitude, and perception, or that idea, may be different from your supervisor, or may be different from the other stakeholders in an institute. So second point is academic, that you may have some academic conflict with your stakeholder, with your supervisor, with board of study. You have some perception, the board of study may have different perception, or maybe the expert, those who come and check your synopsis, or maybe your Ph.D, when you defend your Ph.D, they may have different opinion. But you need to be very polite, right, and then defend your work. Then personal, there are a lot of cases where on personal basis you have some problem, or someone has problem with you. Personal means that you are, having some issue with someone else has some issue with you, and you don't want to discuss your idea, your paper, your research with anyone. But let me tell you, in developed countries, especially USA, every month they have one meeting. In that meeting, each and everybody, whether you are a research scholar, PhD scholar, M.Phil scholar, or teacher, or a professor, whatever research you are conducting, you need to present in front of all the members. Everybody would be there, and you will represent your idea, your research, that what research you are doing. And they will, they will listen carefully, and they will give their opinion that, okay, you are doing like this, why not you include this kind of objective, why not this tools and techniques. So this kind of discussion they have, but in our country, you might have seen that people generally they don't disclose, they don't discuss their research, right? Whatever I know, I don't want to tell you because it's someone may have some personal issue with you. And then overall institutional, sometime I have seen many scholar, they always complain that institution or university or college, they are not helping us. So you need to be a bit smart, you need to be a bit polite, and you, because it's your institution, it's your organization, and this organization is giving you what, opportunity to conduct a research, right? So you need to take care of that. According to International Journal of Medical Journals, here you can see conflict of interest. Let me read it for you. Public trust is in scientific process, and the credibility of published articles depend in part on how transparently an author's relationship and activities directly or topically related to a work are handled during the planning, implementation, writing, peer review, editing, and publication of scientific work. So here you can see that when you conduct your research, public trust is very important because public give you a lot of value or lot of respect, right? So you need to take care of that credibility. Whenever you whatever you write, it publish in the research paper, the research paper published in the journal as an article, as a research paper. So you need to give all possible information, right? And here you will have your co-author, right? And the work you are doing, the respondent would be there, your supervisor would be there. So from planning what you do in your research till implementation of that research, or writing a paper, review of whatever paper you have written, editing of that paper, and finally publication of that paper, all these things you need to be very transparent, you need to be very transparent. So now you can see the potential for conflict of interest and bias exists when professional judgment concerning a primary interest, such as patient welfare or the validity of research, may be influenced by a secondary interest such as financial gain. So here one more thing you can see in conflict of interest. Individual may disagree on whether an author relationship or activities represent conflict. Although the presence of a relationship or activity does not always indicate a problematic influence on the paper content, perception of conflict may erode trust in science as well as an actual conflict of interest. So now this is another thing, financial relationship such as employment, consultancy, stock ownership or option, honoraria, patents, and paid expert testimony are the most easily identifiable. The one most often judged to represent potential conflict of interest, and so the most likely to undermine the credibility of the journal, the author, and of science itself. So it means that it is very clear here. You can see your credibility would be undermined if if you send your paper and get it published within 24 hours. Then will you be happy? Because you have done a hard work, collected data, write a research paper, and paid 5,000, 10,000 rupees to journal, get it published in 24 hours. So where is your credibility, right? Where is trust? Who will trust you? Because you paid a journal to get it published, and you paid 10,000, 5,000 rupees. So here sometime you get it patent also, something. So is it really you have gone through a process, you, or you paid someone to get it patent? So so now here you can see we have discussed conflict of interest in detail. And now very very important thing, how to handle authorship dispute. Suppose you have some dispute with your co-author, with your supervisor. So you remember in last session we discussed COPE organization who gave clear cut information. So they have given a clear cut information how to handle authorship problem. So let me see if I can run this. Yeah. Okay, here you see, if you have time, you can read this article, very nice article, How to Handle Authorship Dispute, a guide for new researchers. So, how to reduce incidence of authorship problem? So what you need to do, you find that there is some issue with someone. So here you see, by putting down names of people who took little or no part in research, this could be one. By leaving out names of people who did take part, ghost authorship. So this is what this will give you some kind of idea. Encourage a culture of ethical authorship. Start discussing authorship when you plan your research. So in starting you tell that I am writing this paper, I am working on research, you would be my co-author, or you would not be my co-author, you help me please. So sometime we take this permission in writing also, otherwise we all can be in problem. So here you can see how to handle authorship dispute, acknowledgement, appeal. So this all information is given. Misconduct, contribution, correspondence author, who would be first author, who would be last author, who would be corresponding author. This all information is given in this article. So I thought I should show you this, every information, right? An order of author, how you will decide who will be first, second and third, right? So this is something you should understand. So now let us move further. Now, so that was conflict of interest. Now, publication misconduct, that we already have discussed, but because it is given in syllabus in third unit also, so let me put some light, then we will proceed further, because today we're gonna discuss very important thing, open journals, open access, right? That we will discuss today. So let me finish it as soon as possible. Let me complete it. So publication misconduct, you all aware of. Research misconduct applied to any action that involve mistreatment of research subject or purposeful manipulation of scientific record such that it no longer reflect observed truth, right? So you understand this, I believe you understand this. Yeah, okay, sir. So now you can see more about type of misconduct. This already we have discussed, but Sage Publishing, they have defined plagiarism, that we already have discussed. What is plagiarism? Presenting another person idea or material as they were his or her own, or without proper acknowledgement or attribution. So here you can see second, copyright infringement. Lot of time you will see that things are copyright, without their permission you cannot, you know, use it. Without their permission you cannot use it, you cannot print it, you cannot copy it. Even there are some books, without permission you cannot xerox it, you cannot get copy of that. That is original idea of someone else, work of someone else, their idea. Without acknowledge them, without giving them attribution, you say that okay, I'm using it. So here you see copyright infringement. Now we are moving away from copyright to Creative Commons. So that we will discuss in the next class. Then we have duplicate. You remember redundant publication, duplicate publication. So there are journals which look like the original and their name is very close to original name. When you send your paper, they get it published, they charge huge amount. Later on you know, came to know, oh my god, it was a duplicate journal. Then we have data fabrication, falsification. You cook your own data, right? That we already have discussed. Inappropriate attribution of authorship. So you don't acknowledge or you don't cite a person who has written a particular article or a research paper, and so that would be inappropriate if you don't give acknowledgement or if you don't cite that person. So it will leads to dispute. So this is also a publication misconduct. And then there is a misconduct in publication process. You send your paper to fraudulent name, fraudulent organization where they charge huge amount and publish your paper. So now let us move to very important thing, everybody. Now please listen carefully. Predatory journals. What is this predatory journal? And from your examination point of view, this is also very important. According to International Journal of Medical Journal Editor, the journals predatory or pseudo journals accept and publish almost all submissions. Whatever paper you submit, they will charge fees from you, and they will charge some, processing fees from you, and will publish, right? And they say you send your paper, we accept your paper and will publish it. And last, here you can see they often claim to perform peer review, but they don't perform, and purposefully use names similar to well established journals. So this is a big crime. So a predatory journal is a publication that actively asks researchers for manuscript. They have no paper review system, no true editorial board, and are often found to publish, you know, the lower kind of articles which are worthless paper. And here, very important, see, this is in red line, red color. They also ask for huge publication charges. Now what we need to do now, what is the solution? You all said you don't know about this predatory journal. So here Beal's criteria. Now you can identify which one is predatory and which one is not a predatory journal. So we have list. So listen carefully. This is from a examination point of view. How to find out that journal is not a predatory journal. Listen carefully. No single individual is identified as specific journal editor, with no formal editorial review board or same editorial board for more than one journal. So first, that if you don't see any name, then don't send your paper. Second, the editor and review board member do not have academic expertise in the journal field. So third point, provide insufficient information or hide information about author fees, offering to publish an author paper and later sending an unanticipated surprise invoice. Then no proper indexing, कोई indexing नहीं है उसके अंदर, no proper indexing. The name of journal is unrelated with the journal mission. Which journals are very specific, subject specific, and the name is that all kind of subject can be fit into one journal. So remember, if all kind of language, all kind of research, science, commerce, humanity, social science, art, all paper get published in one journal, it is not a good journal, it's a predatory journal. So it should be very specific, name should be very specific. For example, journal of marketing, so it would be on marketing only, right? And then the name of journal does not reflect its origin. They don't tell us that this belong to Delhi University or this belong to your university. It should clearly mention the place, the institution, the university, right? Clearly they should mention that it is affiliated with Delhi University or some other university. Then publisher has poorly maintained website. If there is no website, then again an issue. How you will communicate? How you came to know that this is a journal? No link is given. How you can talk to them? There should be email ID. There must be a phone number. And you find that whatever they have mentioned, the language is not so good. There are grammatical mistakes. So now you can identify that this journal is a kind of predatory journal. Few more things to identify, because you mentioned that you don't know about these duplicate journals. The publisher makes unauthorized use of licensed image on their website. So there are few pictures, there are few images, which these are images or pictures, copyrighted pictures. You cannot use it. So when you see it that someone else has used it without permission, then that would be a kind of duplicate journal. Today I was reading one book, and in that book they have mentioned about questionnaire about job satisfaction, right? And they say that this questionnaire is made by one international company. You cannot use it without permission, right? So here there may be picture, there may be monogram, there may be something which you cannot use, and if you see on the website of that journal, make sure that this is a kind of duplicate or predatory journal. Then republished paper already published. So here you see that one paper already published in some journal, and they say that we will also publish your paper, the same paper you publish in other journal. And then they say that we are the topmost journal in India or topmost journal in the world, right? If they say like this, so that means somewhere there is, if believe me, if your journal is a good journal, they will not say like this, that we are the leading publisher, we are number one, we are on top 5, right? For that impact factor we will discuss. So on the basis of impact factor you can say that they are the number one. And they don't give any copy editing or proofreading submission, right? They say that you send your paper, we'll publish it, don't worry. No proofreading, no copy editing, nothing. And then publish paper that are not academic, I mean, which are just, you think something and write, and they will publish it. So it's not a good journal. And if there is no contact number, no contact email ID, nothing is given, location is not given, so that means this is duplicate or predatory. And then board member, right? And if they combine 3 or 4, for example, international journal of business, humanity, technology, science, so that means these are predatory journals. So this was about predatory journal. Now I believe you are sure that whenever you will be sending your paper for publication, uh, you will have idea that this is not a predatory journal, this is not a duplicate journal. Now you have all guidelines, you have all possible information with you, right? Now we'll continue with lecture 10. So what I am going to do, let us take 2-minute break and then continue with the lecture, next lecture.